Hello, this is Justin7 with sportsbookreview.com. I got a request from V-Bomber to do a video on props. So I'm going to show you all how to price one prop, and that is looking at this week's game of Miami versus Denver. How many passing yards do you think Cutler will have? Now, props are easy money. The lines are routinely horrendous. So when you're trying to price props, you don't have to price them perfectly. You just want to get close and you look for things that are off. So a key component if you're going to be a prop player is to be able to price a lot of these very quickly. So ideally, you don't want to spend more than 2 minutes figuring out the price on any prop. If you study lots of props and price lots of props, you'll find literally hundreds of betting opportunities every week, and every one of them you can have a small hold. And there's a lot of professional players who can actually make a good living just betting props. So with that in mind, we're now going to look at how many passing yards do you think Cutler will have this week. First, let's take a look at his game log for this year. I'm getting his stats off of sportsline.com in the NFL section. Now, if you look at his stats, he's had 7 games, and you'll see he's been averaging 266 yards a game. What you want to make sure of, though, is that he's not all over the place. Mainly, you want to make sure that his average is pretty close to his median. So when you look at the yards for his 7 games, you'll see he has yards of 300, 350, 264, 361, 227, 192, and 168. The median is 264, which is very close to the average of 266. So you can probably use the average of 266 safely. The next key stat you want to look at is the defensive passing yardage, and you're looking for 2 things. You're looking for Miami's as well as the league-wide average. So from Sportsline, you can see the average is about 207 yards per game, and Miami is allowing 233 yards per game. So if Cutler would normally get 266 yards against an average defense, the average defense allows 207 yards, Miami averages allowing 233 yards. You do what's called normalizing a statistic, which is you multiply times Miami's yardage allowed and divide by the league yardage average allowed, and you get an expectation of 299 yards. If my number was 299 yards for his expected passing yardage, I would bet under 320 or over 280. There's lots of ways you can improve this number. You could look more closely at injuries, at how the deviations were, the matchups, but just doing lots and lots of props very quickly, you're going to grind out a small profit. One minor post note. One reason I picked this game is that the spread was close to 3. If you have a game where there's an expected blowout, for example, a 14-point favorite, you generally have lower passing yardage for the favorite team and higher passing yardage for the visitor. But in this matchup, you didn't have to worry about that. This was just one example of a way to compute a number for a prop, and there's lots of different methodologies based on the type of the prop. But on any kind of statistical prop, on a player stat, you can use a similar methodology as long as ideally each player has 10 games, although here I did it with just 7. If you have any other gambling related questions, feel free to write me at justin@sportsbookreview.com.